Best places to live. Is it Minnesota or is it Colorado? Today we're gonna find out. What's up again, guys? Jade Rowe here with the Living in Minneapolis team. Thank you for tuning into my channel today. We're gonna get right into this, breaking down Minnesota and Colorado. I picked these two states because I've seen people, I know people who have moved from Minnesota to Colorado and from Colorado to Minnesota. They have similar seasons in the sense that they have 4 seasons. Colorado is known for the Rockies and just known for way more mountains, and Minnesota is known for all of its lakes and lots of snow. But I thought they were both good cities. People are looking to move to one or the other states potentially, and I wanted to at least break some of the info down so that you can make a more informed decision. So we're gonna start with the population. Minneapolis is a bigger city than Denver, and in general, the state. The population of Minnesota is about 3.5 million, whereas the population in Colorado is 3 million. So there's just more people in Minnesota, which makes it more congested. Next, people always ask me about Minnesota versus Colorado with regards to the sun and the days of sunshine. Denver's going to have more days that you have sun. Probably about 70% of the season or the year you're gonna have sun, where it's more towards 60% in Minneapolis, right? You're gonna have darker days in Minneapolis, you're gonna have more sun in Colorado, more overcast in Minnesota. However, when the sun does come out in Colorado, it doesn't necessarily mean it gets hotter. You can still have sunny days where you're still gonna have to be in a light coat and bundled up in Colorado, where in Minnesota, there are days where that sun is out and it is very hot. I mean, we're talking 100 degrees or more. So depending on what you prefer, I mean, you can have more sunny days in Colorado, but they're not really hotter days, where in Minnesota, you're gonna have less sunny days, but you're gonna have really hot days when you do get that full sun in those summer months. Both highest temperatures recorded last year, 2023, was 101 degree for Minnesota and 102 degree for Colorado. So you can see that they're pretty much the same when it comes to the temps that it gets hotter, like the highest temps it gets to, but Minnesota statistically just stays a little bit hotter for whatever reason during those sunny days, making the sun just feel more intense than what it does. Denver and Minneapolis also have basically varied temperatures, right? I mean, Denver and Colorado in general can swing from 22 to 90, and Minnesota can go from 0 to 90, right? So the swings in temperature is larger in the Minnesota area. I mean, you're gonna have days in the winter where it's negative 10 degrees potentially, and maybe negative 20 with the wind chill. And then in the summer, you might have 2 weeks straight where it's 95 degrees. Generally doesn't get that cold in Colorado. It's still gonna get cold enough, but it's not gonna get crazy negative 20 degree below wind chill in Colorado. So you have less varying degrees in Colorado than you do in Minnesota. Average incomes are relatively the same. Minneapolis, you have $75,000 as the average income, household income. In Colorado, you have 87. So you're at $12,000 more in Colorado for the average household income. However, it gets very interesting when you look at the average price of homes. Minneapolis average price of home is or Minnesota, I should say, is $328,000. Colorado, it's $540,000. So you have a $212,000 difference in average price of a home compared to a $12,000 difference in income. So you make $12,000 more in Colorado for probably the same job, but you're gonna be paying $212,000 more for that same house. That can be a huge shift and can make definitely Colorado feel like it's harder for cost of living than it is in Minnesota. Even though your income is lower, home prices are also lower. So when you look at the ratios, they are actually better from price of a home to income in Minnesota over Colorado. Next, Minneapolis and Minnesota in general do have older homes than Denver and the greater state of Colorado. Like I've said in other videos, Minnesota and Minneapolis are just an older city. So we have a lot of older homes in those early 1900s, where in Colorado, you don't have as many of those homes. A lot of those homes are newer built homes in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or above, where a lot of homes in the Minnesota and the greater Scott suburbs are in the early 1900s, 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So again, if age of a home is super important to you, Colorado is going to be a better fit for you than probably Minnesota, unless you're willing to buy or wanting to buy a new construction home in Minnesota, which I have made a video about that, and you can go check that out on my channel, all about new construction in Minnesota. You know, then you're probably going to maybe lean towards Colorado over Minnesota, because if you're not buying a new build, the homes are newer in Colorado than in Minnesota. All right, quick 1 minute a break here, that I want you to please just like and comment down below if you're finding this video valuable. I'm trying to provide information about the differences in the states. I hope it's helpful. I would love to hear your suggestions down below on what other videos or questions that you have about the state of Minnesota. If you think that there's something I missed, let me know down below. I would love to hear it. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic as well. And lastly, if I can help you move within the state of Minnesota or across the country, I would love to. My number and my email will be down below on the screen. Reach out to me anytime, and I would love to be a resource for you as you make that move. All right, enough of that. Let's get back into it. I talked about this before when we were talking about household income and median values of homes. Denver is just more expensive. It's 27% more than the national average from a cost of living perspective. I mean, cost of living is more expensive. The groceries are more expensive. The rent is more expensive. Everything is more expensive in Colorado than it is in Minnesota. So if looking at, your bills is super important, which usually everybody it's important, Minnesota is gonna be a better choice from the standpoint of the cost of living than in Denver and in the greater state of Colorado. Next is rainy days. Minneapolis and Minnesota in general have more rainy days than in Colorado. Colorado has about 80 days of rain throughout the course of the year. Minneapolis has 100 to 110 days. So you definitely have more days in Minnesota where it's going to rain in Colorado. If you're a person that hates rain, Colorado is gonna be your place to be than in Minnesota. All right, that is it. Minnesota versus Colorado. We went through some of the stats. We went through some of the home prices. We went through some of the culture. We went through some of everything, right? I hope it was helpful to give you a little bit of an idea on what it looks like to move to either of these states when you're deciding where you'd want to go. Minnesota's a great place. Colorado's a great place. I have considered moving to Colorado. I can't say that I haven't, but I just love Minnesota. I love the people here. I love my family here. I love the Four Seasons. I love the lakes. I mean, you cannot get that in Colorado. You cannot get the lakes. The lakes here are just fantastic, and I love that. So I have no plans to move to Colorado, but I have all the respect for people that do choose to move there. If you have any more questions about this topic, reach out to me. I would love to chat with you more about it.